It's gotta be against the law to look this damn good. Watch out now. Cause baby, I feel real good and I wish I would. Watch out now. It's gotta be against the law to look this damn good. Watch out now. Everybody watch out. Watch out now. I'm ready for a good time, and I came to groove. The whole band's here, and we came to move. Got a fresh haircut and 2 new shoes. We're here all night like we got nothing to lose. I'm coming out the jacket, cause we're turning up the heat.
Welcome back to the Michael P. America Show, and we are on episode 4 of American Democracy Failing. Yes, we're going to keep running these all through the election because there's some real important things that you need to pay attention to. And I know they're trying to get you to think that everything is normal, but it is not. It is not normal. It has not been normal for quite a long time. And then you hear people say, hey, we got the new normal. Oh my God, isn't that hilarious? The new normal. I'm like, what's up with the new normal? So first of all, let us go back and take a look at what they're calling the new normal. Come to the coast, meet a few people, have a good time. Yeah, anyway, no, that's not what's happening. Oh yeah, and I understand we have these protests going on right now, and they want you to think that these protests are as bad as the one you just saw. So let us just kind of revisit this one more time, and then we're going to get on with the conversation. Oh, wait a minute. Nothing says love like a little bear spray being sprayed on law enforcement, right? Right? Okay. I don't think any of the students have actually done that. And we're going to get into the student protests because this is really, really a big deal. They're basically trying to tell you that the student protest and Black Lives Matter is pretty much worse than January 6th. And what was January 6th? Where was January 6th? What were they actually doing? What were they trying to do? They were trying to actually steal the vote. Yes, you know, the orange guy who said, hey, man, the Democrats are stealing the vote, blah, blah, blah. Well, you know, the devil always blames you for the very thing that they're doing. Oh, yeah, I know. You got those Christian extremists out there that can't interpret their own Bible. They just don't get it. They don't see the signs. They don't understand anything. Oh, well, wait a minute. You got their ministers preaching all kinds of hate in their churches. And then they want to point the finger and say, oh, well, you know, Biden's anti-Semitic because he cut off weapons to Israel because, hey, Israel is you know, we're supposed to be for the Jews. Oh, wait a minute. We are. We are. I think the issue is that America is trying to finally be on the right side of a few things. One thing is, you know, exterminating innocent people. I'm not saying that they're all innocent, and that is an issue because there's proxy wars being fought. And they have already basically, the way that it looks, honestly, so we have the war in Israel, which doesn't look really much like a war, it looks more like a slaughter, and they're just wiping out Palestine. Okay, and you're going to do that. And of course, you know, at some point, the hostage situation is going to come up. And what are you going to do? They've already blown up a few of their own people. And I'm not saying, I'm talking about the state. I'm not talking about the people of Israel, because I don't believe the people of Israel actually condone this. Yeah, they want their loved ones back, and I can totally understand that. I totally get that 100%. And that attack was That was atrocious. But, things have been going on for quite a long time. We can't say that both sides are actually always been involved in doing the right thing, but there is a proxy war that's being fought. And they basically, whoever came up with this decided that Palestine and the 1,400 Israelis or more that were being wiped out that started this is considered collateral damage. Basically, what do they say? Fodder for cannon fire. This is something that's absolutely ridiculous. We got proxy wars all over the globe, and we know it. Okay, we know that Ukraine is a proxy war. This has been going on throughout history. But, the Palestinian people and the Israeli people, the Jewish people got to understand that somebody out there, powers that be, have considered you collateral damage. That is just the price of war. They don't care. And the weapons industry is making a ton of money. All kinds of industry. Industry is really one. From the sea of many comes the beast. Okay, all right, you Bible thumpers out there, chew on that for a second. From the sea of many comes the beast. What is the sea? The sea of many is people. The beast is industry. Marry that with AI and you got a big problem, and they're going to do that. So that's a whole other conversation moving forward. The reality is that this is nothing new. But getting into the protests, this is a very important thing. The protests are really important because they can actually hold their government accountable. And many of these folks are coming of age, they're college students. And just like many of the college protests of old, they want to gag you. They want to gag you. They don't want you to have a say. They don't want you to have anything. And this is another sign that it doesn't matter. They're trying to act like this is normal, or they'll call it the new normal. There's nothing normal about this when you have a democracy, or you are striving to have a democracy. We are a democratic republic, right? So we strive for democracy, but we're ranked 36? And we're not even listed as a working democracy, and you guys don't care. There's something awfully wrong with everybody. You need to wake up. Because guess what? This next election is going to determine whether or not that you actually have the ability to be able to protest and stand up. Because if the orange guy gets in, trust me, he already told you what he's going to do. There's nothing nice about this dude. This dude is about him and whatever he can get. He is a product of narcissistic industry upbringing. Yes, industry, that is the beast. Oh, remember DuPont? There's a movie out there right now. You got to see this on Netflix, Dark Water. How DuPont, basically, their Teflon just poisoned everybody on the planet. So that's why they're checking everybody, because they know that it's very likely that everybody's going to have some form of cancer, because the industry's already poisoned the people. That's how we got there. But before we get into that, how they got everybody to buy into this, going back to the student protests are very important. Now, I agree with the college campuses. Those folks who aren't students have no reason to be on the campus at all. They shouldn't be there in the protest. Now, if you want to go get a permit, you want to protest, and then you guys can work that out legally where you're going to protest. That makes a lot of sense. Now, as for the student body, if you guys haven't thought about this, you guys need to have some type of real powwow with the college itself, the college authority, the deans, and all of that. A real Q&A. You guys need that type of stuff going on. You could avoid all of this, what's going on, if you guys actually sit down and you have the Q&A and they talk to you, because you can still have the protest. And people will actually see where the tax dollars are going, for education. My opinion, college education should be free. Healthcare should be free. Yeah, I'm standing real tough on that. Why? Because it makes a better world for everybody. Okay, but industry doesn't want that. And you got these guys who, are living in rural areas, and they're being brainwashed into thinking that this should not be. You got these false Christians out there that are just, again, they're looking for, Elvis and, Tammy Wynette out there and taking taking all their money, this holy water that costs $25-$30, or, give this guy a 747. How ridiculous can you be? And how is it that Christians are so separated on Sunday? You mean a black Christian, a white Christian, there's something different about them? Wow. That's not biblical. Give me a break. Okay. That's all right. We're going to work this out. We better work this out. If American democracy fails, it's all over with. It's all over with. Okay? Industry, and I will say industry as all industries in one, because it is the wealth that controls it all. So it's basically one monster, one beast, really wants all this to fail. And when it fails, they're going to step in and say, we have the better way. Okay, and then you will be subject to AI. That's what they're doing. They're making you subject to AI right now. It's going to be making all the decisions on how to control you. And all they want you to do is to be dumb enough to accept it. They want you to be broken down enough to accept it. Be spiritually wiped out enough to accept it. To throw away your democracy. There's nothing wrong with the Constitution. It's the folks that have sworn the oath of office to protect it. And to protect your rights and to be your voice. They are the turncoats. They are the ones that are selling you out, have sold you out for decades. That's what they do. Takes a lot of money to run for office, any office. Why? Because that's how they vet you. They're going to vet you with their money. It's either their money's coming, it's coming directly through them or through somebody else, but it's still flowing from the wealth. And whoever is paying makes the demands. Whoever's paying makes the demands. Yeah, my little mint tea here, right? Nothing in it. Nothing in it all but mint and honey. Can you dig it? So, the protest on the college campuses is correct, but you need to take some cues from the civil rights, which I call human rights, because that's really what it is. From the civil rights protests, you need to actually take a look at that. And you're in a unique position being on college campus because you guys can hold forums. You can actually demand forums. You can have a conversation, real conversations with people who are making decisions about your education or your educational experience. And in my opinion, that's what you really need to do. Don't go over there tearing up your campus and all of that. And, I don't know about the camp out thing. I mean, I get it. I understand it. But my advice is you should have started with the forums first. You should have hit them. And, you guys know how to arrange this. So if you hear me, think about this because it's going to get worse moving forward. It's going to get worse. They're going to treat you worse than they treated those guys in January 6th. Matter of fact, they basically rolled out the red carpet and said to those guys on January 6th, hey, come on in. Right? So one more time, let's just take a look at this peaceful shindig, as they like to call it. Peaceful shindig. Trying to disrupt the process, the election process. Yes, they were trying to steal the election and then they were going to take it by force. And now they're all running like cockroaches when the light gets shone on them. When you shine a light on them, they're all running and they're pointing at somebody else. Or they're saying, well, I didn't know. Yeah, you knew. That's why you came there with pepper spray and you had all these other organizations with, weapons out there somewhere thinking that they were all going to get in. But first, they thought they put many other protesters there, they subjected you to being collateral damage. They're like, well, let me see if they get shot, maybe we won't come in, right? It's what a bully does. A bully always puts the weakest person out up front or the most unknowing just to see what kind of pushback, right? The January 6th, you guys are a bunch of fools. You have no idea who's controlling you, what you should really be mad at. You should be mad at your party because I'm sure a lot of you guys were Republicans and it's George Bush and Cheney that, created this whole mess and more George Bush than anything. And everybody knows that. But the Republican Party doesn't care about the truth. They care nothing about it. They just, it's always one for the team. And I'm not saying Democrats are perfect because they're not, because I'm sure some of this stuff they feel benefits them too, and they use it, and they don't necessarily serve the people either. Everybody has these buzzwords that they use for their parties to get them all hyped up and fighting each other. The common man has to understand one thing. We're in this together. Politicians screw us all the time. The middleman always screws you. There's very, very, very few politicians in life who have actually tried to do the right thing. Now, trying to oppose doing the right thing, that's something completely different. And I'm not saying that, this is a perfect world. It's not, but it could be much better if the spirit of man was focused on doing the right thing and actually doing something that benefits God's creation. Okay, you don't believe in God. All right, well, let's just say benefiting the world. How about that? Benefiting all people. And instead of, the golden rule, he who has the gold makes all the rules. Oh, yeah, you love your money, right? Well, think about that for a second. A lot of you guys can be bought and sold so cheap. And you sell out your brothers and sisters who live right next door, who have no more than you, who struggle just like you. But you're going to fall for this stuff. Well, they don't actually look like me or sound like me. No, they look like you. It's just that you've been trained like a dog to see color, just like the dogs in customs. They smell out certain things and they look for certain things. And you got to open up your mind and start thinking. The war is not with the people. All right. The war is against principalities, things seen and unseen, worlds seen and unseen, forces seen and unseen. Man has been selling out his brother and sister since the beginning of time. This is not evolution. So what? I can, put a bunch of rocket fuel on something and then blow it up and send it to space. They blow up things every day. That technology is not evolution. Evolution is when all mankind moves forward, mentally, spiritually, and physically. Okay? And whatever this you guys call being evolved, it's not. Man has been destroying himself since the beginning of time. So how are we evolved? I mean, all these shootings in the schools? Come on, man. These people have been vexed. And so they're vexed and they're programmed and they think that power is the gun. Power is not the gun. Man makes the gun. So there is the power of creation. But then what do you use the gun for? The gun is supposed to be a tool. But what kind of tool? Are you creating a tool to destroy other men? What a joke. What a joke. You don't get it. We could be so evolved. You watch all these sci-fi shows and they're like, oh, we're all over the universe. You're never going to get there if you're killing each other. It's not going to work. You're not going to figure out a lot of things because you're too busy hating and destroying each other. You cannot create. You cannot create in times of destruction. And right now, there's way too much destruction. Destruction, death, murder, de-evolves human beings. It makes you less than human. Less than human. You got, baboons and monkeys out there that act more human than human beings. They have more of a sense of community than human beings. We need to ask the tough questions. How did we get there and how do we reverse it? So check this out. Let's check. I got to do this because I can. It's my show. I'm going to do this. I want you to dwell on this because these nuts want to turn everything upside down and give it to a dictator. Okay, so I can keep playing it. You're going to keep seeing this because I will keep playing this on every show until this actually sinks in. And I know, yeah, you need to flip the material and change things up a little bit. You guys need to actually think about what happened that day. All right. And you could tell there was a certain degree of organization. Unfortunately, the organizers were standing back and, they put the half-wits up front. Yeah, I'm calling you half-wits. Why? Because you have no idea who your enemy is and you don't really care. You're waiting for somebody to tell you. You're waiting for these marching orders that come from, these guys who control industry that pit human beings against each other. They poison the atmosphere. They poison your food, your water. And you're just like, well, hey, they gave me a few dollars and I have a job, so they can't be all bad. Yeah, meanwhile, your offspring are, they're all going to die from cancer and all kinds of crazy stuff that they cause. But you don't want to know that. You don't want to know any of that. All you want to do is just feel like you can tear up something that you can vent your anger. You got to drop that fifth grade mentality and grow up a little bit and understand. If you want a better world, you really have to participate. You can't just bang your hands on tables and, throw a tantrum and tear up something just because you don't get your way. That's what kids do, right? Look, we're better than this as a country. We can be much better, but you really, really, really have to want to be better. And if the spirit's not there, it's not going to happen. So right now you're saying that you want to turn over, power to, a would-be dictator. And then what? You're going to lose your Constitution. He's already told you, who needs a Constitution? He wants to throw it out because he doesn't want you to have any rights. He wants to have all the power. But you keep saying that you're a patriot. You're a patriot for what? You're a patriot for destroying the Constitution. You don't get it. And I'm speaking to all those nuts that were there January 6th. I'm not going to be nice and say, oh, those people were just so misled. Of course, they're vexed. But guess what? They're accepting it. They took it to the point of actual violence. And then they're mad because some of them are going to jail. Well, what do you think? The state has to show that it's in control. Some of you will go to jail. And there's going to be a lot of you that's going to stay in jail even if the orange man comes into power, because he's going to forget about you. And if not, he's going to use you for something else. But the bottom line is, if we move away from democracy, everybody is going to get the axe. We're all going to get the axe. It's all going to be real destructive. At least in a democracy, you can have a conversation. If you can put a couple words together, you can have a conversation. You can have a protest with words. You can politically protest, but you have to participate. And a lot of folks don't want to participate. They just want to throw tantrums, or they want to be distracted. They want the illusions. People perish because they fall in love with the lie. All of this is an illusion. It's a distraction. Industry has been destroying us for a long time. All right. So, the clock's ticking and I'm taking more time than I wanted to, but we have to stay with our democracy. It's going to make the world a better place. There's so many places, countries that aren't democracies that are waiting for us to fail. And once we fail, they're going to be on our shore, because anybody who becomes a dictator is going to need support from those foreign entities. Goodbye, America. All right. So I got to do this again. I'm going to read this. And this is not really meant for television. So bear with me the way that it's written. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to try to get through this really quick. How did we get here? Here's one of the avenues. All right. So the book is The Culture of Narcissism by Christopher Latch. Okay. And I'm sure when he wrote it, that there was a lot of pushback or they tried to bury it. But it's a very strong book. It's kind of, academia to a point, but you can understand it. If not, in the old days, they said, if we didn't know a word, pull out a dictionary. And I'm going to do my best not to trip over it. So I'm going to start with The Culture of Narcissism. And it goes into the propaganda of commodities and talking about how employees ended up being their business's best customer. Okay. how this all plays out. Yes, you keep feeding the beast that's grounding you into the dirt. Check this out. All right, it reads, the propaganda of commodities in the early days of industrial capitalism, the propaganda of commodities in the early days of industrial capitalism, the employer saw the working man as no more than a beast of burden, a man of the type of an ox. In the words of an efficiency expert, Frederick W. Taylor, or the efficiency expert, capitalists considered the worker purely as a producer. They cared nothing for the worker's activities in his leisure time, the little leisure that was left to him after a 12 or 14-hour day in the factory. Okay, so we were complaining about 12, 14-hour days. This is like you get time and a half incentive and all that. They really didn't want to do that. All right. Employers attempted to supervise the worker's life on the job, but their control ended when the worker left the factory at closing time. Okay. Even when Henry Ford established a sociological department at the Ford Motor Works in 1914, he regarded the supervision of workers' private lives merely as a means of making men sober, thrifty, industrious producers. Ford sociologists attempted to impose an old-fashioned Protestant morality on the labor force. They inveighed against tobacco, liquor, and dissipation. Okay. Only a handful of employers at that time understood that the worker might be useful to the capital as a consumer. Okay, listen to this. Only a handful of employers at that time understood that the workers might be useful to the capital as a consumer. Or you can say is a consumer. So just think about that. That he needed to be in with a taste of higher things in the economy based on mass products required, not only capitalistic organization of production, but the organization of consumption and leisure as well. Okay? Not only capitalistic organization of production, but the organization of consumption and leisure as well. So let that last part kind of stick to you. Mass production, said the Boston department store magnate Edward Filene in 1919, demands the education of the masses. They have to educate you on how to spend your money or give them your money. Okay? I'm dying. Education of the masses. Masses must learn to behave like human beings in a mass production world. Okay, so think about that. You have to learn how to behave like a human being in a mass production world, not a human being in a world full of human beings or a world for human beings. So what they're saying is you've been co-opted. Generations have been co-opted. And this is where branding and all these other things come from. And the branding, okay, I understand it's marketing and that's great. But they were using it to vex their employees. They were using it to vex their employees to make them the type of people they wanted them to be. All right. So that's crazy, right? It also goes on to say they must achieve not only mere literacy, but culture. In other words, the modern manufacturer has to educate the masses in the culture of consumption. I know I'm reading this over again because I want you to get this. The mass production of commodities and ever increase the abundance of demands of a mass market to absorb them. All right, to absorb them. The American economy, having reached a point where its technology was capable of satisfying basic material needs, now relied on the creation of a new consumer demands on convincing people to buy goods for which they are unaware of any need until the need is forcibly brought to their attention by the mass media advertising, said Calvin Coolidge, is the method by which the desire is created for better things. It's deep. So they already went to work on your psyche. You should be totally pissed off, but you're not. The attempt to civilize the masses has now given rise to a society dominated by appearances, the society of spectacle. In the period of primitive accumulation, capitalism subordinated being to having, okay? The use value of commodities to their exchange value. It sounds very much like utility. That they are designing a purpose, that they are redesigning human beings' thought process and the spiritual process. Now, that's a big deal. Why is that a big deal? Because the man said, mind your wants because somebody wants your mind. I know, George Clinton, he probably got it from somebody else. Who knows? But the bottom line is, you need to understand that the game was on a long time ago, and you have a predisposition to the game. And they believe that you are there to serve them. When they say to make you more, to make you more humane or more of a human being or any of this stuff, they want to make you the way they want you to be. And the scary thing is that what we see today is really the results of that type of ideology, that type of quest for dominating the world and programming people's minds. Again, I tell you, I'm going to stumble over some things just because the way that it was written, but we're going to get through it. All right. So it also says, now it subordinates possession itself to appearance and measures exchange value as commodities, capacity to confer prestige. The illusion of prosperity and well-being when economic necessity yield to necessity for limitless economic development, writes Guy Debord. The satisfaction of basic and generally recognized human needs gives ways to an uninterrupted fabrication of pseudo needs. Things you don't really need. Things that aren't really important. Okay? So you got to understand what I'm saying. You want to talk about conspiracy? Look at the money. They already told you what they were going to do. But no, you're fighting each other, right? You can't get any more vexed than that. Your neighbor next door, your green neighbor, red neighbor, blue neighbor, black neighbor, yellow neighbor, whatever you want to call them, they're not your enemy. They're in the same boat that you are in. And nobody wants to bail each other out. You just want to fight to see who can stay on the boat. You guys don't get it, man. You're fighting each other, and that's what they want. They want the chaos. Chaos they can steal from you. All right. In a simpler time, advertising merely called attention to the product and extolled its advantages. Now it manufactures a product of its own, the consumer. Okay? Perpetually unsatisfied, restless, anxious, and bored. How many times have you heard your kid go, I'm bored? Now you know why they're bored. They've been programmed to be bored. Why? Because the household's been co-opted. Everybody's been co-opted to buy into this, right? They're bored. Oh, man, this is crazy. Advertising serves not so much to advertise products, and I know I'm going to read this again, as to promote consumption as a way of life. Educate the masses into unappeasable appetite, not only for good, but for new experiences and personal fulfillment. It upholds consumption as the answer to the age of discontent, of loneliness, sickness, wearing his lack of sexual satisfaction. At the same time, it creates new forms of discontent peculiar to the modern age. You might as well say peculiar to man. All right. So they're inventing things. In sales, they say create the need and then you can provide the solution. Well, there it is. There it is. All right. It plays seductively on the malice of industrial civilization. Is your job boring and meaningless? Does it leave you with feelings of utility and fatigue? Is your life empty? Think about that. They're asking the question. Consumption promises to fill the aching void. Hence the attempt to surround commodities with an aura of romance, with an allusion to exotic places and vivid experiences, with images of female breasts from which all blessings flow. Yeah, well, if you like women, boom, man. And if you're a woman that wants to be liked, boom. Look at that. And how interesting is that? Because the predisposition to female breast is childbirth, child rearing, right? Come on, man. They're messing with your head. They're messing with your head, man. You guys, you don't get it. The propaganda of commodity serves as a double function. First, it upholds consumption as an alternative to protest or rebellion. Read it again. The propaganda of commodity serves as a double function. First, it upholds consumption as an alternative to protest or rebellion. Now you know why everybody's trying to tell you everything's just the same. Get on a plane, go take a flight. Oh, buy this, buy that. Oh, got Easter, got to go buy those Easter eggs and that chocolate. Goddess asked her, she's digging it. Right? Okay. Paul Nystrom, an early student of modern marketing, once noted that industrial civilization gives rise to a philosophy of futility, nothingness, a disappointment with achievements that finds an outlet in changing the more superficial things in which fashion reigns. The man said that fashion is smashing the true meaning of it. Oh, yeah, man. Can you dig it? Can you dig it? The tired worker, instead of attempting to change the conditions of his work, seeks renewal in brightening his immediate surroundings with new goods and services. I have no problem with people making money, spending money, whatever. The question is, are you doing this or are you programmed? And who and what you're spending money on and with in regards to the detriment of mankind. Think about that. All right. So, because I know you guys are getting ready to jump on me, but I got to lay that out there. All right. So I'm going to start again. In the second place, the propaganda of consumption turns alienation itself into a commodity. Everything's a commodity, right? It addresses itself to the spiritual desolation of modern life and proposes consumption as the cure. Proposes consumption as the cure. Chew on that. Okay? It not only promises to palliate all old unhappiness to which flesh is heir, it creates or exacerbates new forms of unhappiness, personal insecurity, status, anxiety in parents with their ability to satisfy the needs of the young. Do you look dowdy next to your neighbors? Do you own a car inferior to theirs? Are your children as healthy, as popular, doing as well in school? Advertising institutionalizes envy and its attendant anxieties. And I've been trying to say for a long time, they're trying to institutionalize everyone and everybody. That's why they don't build new houses. That's why they keep building these square rectangle apartment buildings, square walls, very few windows. They're institutionalizing mankind. Okay? You guys need to understand that. The servant of the status quo, advertising has nevertheless identified itself with a sweeping change in values, a revolution in manners and morals that began in the early years of the 20th century and has continued until present. Now, this book was written late 60s, early 70s, but it's still going on. The demands of mass consumption economy had made the work ethic absolute, even for the workers. Formerly, the guardians of public health and morality urged the workers to labor as moral obligation. Now they teach him to labor so that he can partake of the fruits of consumption, In the 19th century, elites alone obeyed the laws of fashion, exchanging old possessions for new ones, for no other reason than they had gone out of style. Economic orthodoxy condemned the rest of society to a life of drudgery and mere subsistence. Think about that for 1 second, all right? Mere subsistence. And so, again, let me just kind of show you why we're doing this. Now, going back to it. The mass production of luxury items now extends aristocratic habits to the masses. Now extends aristocratic habits to the masses. We will be right back.
You're listening to Radio 4 Play on Fourth Rider Radio. Radio for the people, by the people. May the 4th be with you.
Okay, so little break there. Just had to remind you that Fourth Rider Radio, Radio 4 Play, the Michael P. America show. Getting back to it, I'm just going to read where I left off. The mass production of luxury items now extend the aristocratic habits to the masses. The apparatus of mass promotion attacks ideologies based on the proponent of gratification. Okay, excuse me, the postponent of gratification. I read that wrong. I corrected it. Okay. So they want you to postpone being satisfied so that you'll go out and buy whatever they want. All right, whatever they want to sell you. It allies itself with the sexual revolution. It sides or seems to side with women against male oppression and with young against authority of their elders. The logic of demand creation requires that women smoke and drink in public, move about freely, and assert their right to happiness instead of living for others. And he's not saying that it's only women that should live for others. He's just making a point that it's changed everything. It's basically changed the household. It's changed the parents' thinking, all right, way of doing things. It's changed community. That's what he's trying to say. So don't think that this is some type of, sexist push, even though, it was written, like I said, late 60s and 70s. Yeah, the language is going to be a little bit different. So just want you to know that. It also goes on to say, it emancipates women and children from patriarchal authority, however, only to subject them to a new paternalism of the advertising industry, the industrial corporation, and the state. So let's try this again. I'm going to read this again because this is important. It emancipates women and children from patriarchal authority, however, only to subject them to a new paternalism of the advertising industry, the industrial corporation, and the state. All right. So I'm going to stop right there. I think that was good enough. You're probably going to need to play this a few times. And yeah, I admit I made a few mistakes, not perfect here, but I want you to get the point. You need to understand that all of this is not normal. They are trying to take from you. They are trying to make sure that they never have to deal with a protest ever again. They want to make sure that they are in charge, that they control everything. They want to make sure that you answer to them. Okay, there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on, all right? And I need you to wake up. You don't have to believe me. Just wake up. I'm Michael P. America. This is the fourth episode in regards to American democracy failing. And I'm only doing this because, I'm actually your brother and I care. Us older folks, we know we could be here another 1 year, 2 year, 20 year, 30 years. But you young folks out there need to take this apart. You need to think about this because what's going on isn't normal. It isn't right. And that I can tell that's one reason why you're protesting. You guys need to support each other. This is Michael P. America. I'm out. Make sure you love on your neighbors and you guys figure it out. We can be the best country in the world, but we have to aspire to protect our Constitution, protect our rights, and to protect our democracy. Have a good night. Spread the love.
It's gotta be against the law to look this damn good. Watch out now. Cause baby, I feel real good and I wish I would. Watch out now. It's gotta be against the law to look this damn good. Watch out now. Everybody watch out. Watch out now. I'm ready for a good time. And I came to groove. The whole band's here and we came to move. Got a fresh haircut and 2 new shoes. We're here all night like we got nothing to lose. Coming out the jacket cause we're turning up the heat.